Evergrande used to be a giant in China's real estate world. It was a symbol of China's booming economy. They built apartments, malls, and even theme parks. Evergrande grew incredibly fast. It borrowed lots of money to get bigger. At its best, Evergrande was one of China's biggest companies. It employed hundreds of thousands of people. When it collapsed, it shocked the global economy. Evergrande's growth mirrored China's fast-paced city growth. Millions of people moved to cities. They needed places to live, and Evergrande built them. The company's success came from a simple plan: borrow money, build properties, sell them for a profit. This plan worked great for many years, but it wasn't something they could keep doing forever. Evergrande's problem started in 2020. The Chinese government made new rules to limit how much money real estate developers could borrow. This made it hard for Evergrande to get the loans it needed to keep growing. At the same time, people didn't want to buy property as much. Prices started to fall, and Evergrande had a huge amount of debt. The company's founder, Hui Ka-yan, became a billionaire on his own. He was once a symbol of China's business spirit. However, Hui's success depended on Evergrande. As the company's problems grew, so did his. Evergrande's debt was unbelievably high, over $300 billion. This made it the world's most indebted property developer. The company struggled to pay its bills. It missed payments to suppliers, lenders, and investors. Things quickly turned into a major crisis. In late 2021, Evergrande failed to pay its debt. This shocked global financial markets. Investors worried that the company's collapse could cause a bigger crisis. They started selling their shares in other Chinese companies. People worried about the safety of China's financial system. Evergrande's money problems were made worse by claims of accounting tricks. People said the company lied about how much money it made and hid how much debt it really had. These claims made investors even more worried. They also caused investigations by Chinese authorities. The crisis showed the risks of China relying too much on real estate. For years, property had been a main reason for economic growth, but the Evergrande story highlighted the dangers of borrowing too much and guessing in the market. It forced China to rethink its economic plan. Hui Ka-yan, the once famous founder of Evergrande, faced serious problems. His fall was as dramatic as the company's collapse. Chinese authorities started an investigation into his business dealings. They said he mismanaged money and was corrupt. In 2024, Hui was fined $6.6 million for his part in Evergrande's false financial reports. This was a big penalty, even for a billionaire. But his problems were just beginning. Chinese authorities also banned him from the securities market forever. This ended his career in the industry he helped create. Hui's downfall was a warning to other rich Chinese businessmen. It showed that even the most powerful people weren't above the law. The Chinese government wanted to make it clear that it wouldn't allow financial wrongdoing. The time of uncontrolled growth in real estate was over. Evergrande's collapse and Hui's downfall scared the entire Chinese business community. Business owners became more careful. Investors took fewer risks. The Chinese government had to figure out how to make people believe in the country's economic future again. In January 2024, a Hong Kong court ordered Evergrande to be liquidated. This was a huge fall for a company that once symbolized China's economic power. Liquidation is a complicated process. It means selling all of Evergrande's assets to pay off its debts. The Evergrande crisis affected the whole Chinese property market. Other developers had similar problems with high debt and slow sales. Investors became scared of the sector, making it hard for companies to get money. This led to many defaults and financial trouble across the industry. Country Garden, another big Chinese developer, found itself in a risky situation. Like Evergrande, Country Garden had grown quickly by borrowing lots of money. It also faced a cash shortage as sales slowed and investors lost confidence. The company lost a record $27.5 billion in 2023, showing how bad the crisis was. The Evergrande story showed the hidden dangers in China's real estate market. The industry depended too much on debt and guessing. This created a bubble that was sure to pop. Now the question was how to deal with the damage and stop a bigger economic crisis. Section 5. Government intervention and debt restructuring. Worried about a possible system-wide crisis, the Chinese government stepped in to lessen the damage from Evergrande's collapse. They tried many things to stabilize the property market and stop a domino effect on other parts of the economy. One important action was making it easier for people to buy their first homes. The government lowered down payments and mortgage rates, hoping people would buy more homes. They also encouraged banks to give better loan terms to home buyers to boost confidence in the market. To deal with too many unsold homes, the government bought them from struggling developers. These properties were turned into affordable housing, helping people in need and giving some relief to the struggling real estate sector. Also, the government lowered bank reserves, giving more money to the financial system so banks could lend more. Both Evergrande and Country Garden started debt restructuring to deal with their huge debts. This meant making deals with lenders to extend payment deadlines, lower debt amounts, or trade debt for ownership in the company. The success of these efforts was very important for the future of the Chinese property market. Section 6. Economic shockwaves, from consumers to investors. The Evergrande crisis hurt the Chinese economy. The real estate sector, once a source of growth, became a problem. This had big consequences for consumers, investors, and the whole economy. Consumer spending, which is very important for economic growth, slowed down as people lost faith in the property market. People thinking about buying homes hesitated, worried about prices dropping, or developers going bankrupt before finishing projects. This worry spread to other parts of the economy, slowing growth even more. The construction industry, which depends heavily on real estate, slowed down a lot. As demand for new homes and buildings fell, construction projects stopped. This led to job losses in construction and related industries, hurting consumer spending and the overall economy. Foreign investment in China decreased in 2023 as investors became cautious about the country's economic future. The Evergrande crisis showed the risks of investing in China's property market and made people worry about the whole financial system. This drop in foreign investment made economic growth slower and harder for the government to reach its goals. Section 7. Global repercussions and market scrutiny. Even though the Evergrande crisis started in China, the whole world felt it. International investors who put money into Chinese real estate lost a lot. The crisis also worried people about contagion, the idea that it could start a global financial crisis like the one in 2008. Leaders and economists worldwide watched closely, trying to figure out how it would affect their own economies. The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, warned that the Evergrande crisis could threaten global financial stability if not handled carefully. Central banks in many countries made backup plans to reduce possible harm to their financial systems. The crisis also led to more careful examination of auditing practices, especially for companies that said Evergrande was financially healthy before its collapse. PricewaterhouseCoopers, or PwC, Evergrande's auditor, was criticized for its role. Regulators in different places started investigations into PwC's auditing, questioning the quality of corporate governance and financial reporting in China. The Evergrande crisis was a wake-up call for global investors and policymakers. It showed how connected the global economy is and how important it is to address systemic risks in emerging markets like China. The crisis also highlighted the need for more transparency and accountability in how companies are managed and how they report their finances. Section 8. Navigating the ruins towards a sustainable future. The Evergrande crisis showed the weaknesses of China's growth model, which relied too much on debt-fueled investment, especially in real estate. The challenge for Chinese policymakers is to deal with the damage from the crisis and move to a stronger, more balanced economic model. One important step is to make the economy less reliant on real estate. This means focusing on other growth areas like consumer spending, innovation, and high-tech manufacturing. The government has already started doing this, including supporting the development of strategic industries and encouraging people to buy more things. Another key challenge is dealing with too much debt. The government needs policies that encourage less borrowing, especially by companies. This includes stricter lending rules, better corporate governance, and rewarding companies for lowering their debt. Also, China needs to change its housing market to make it more affordable for regular people. This means building more affordable housing, limiting speculative investment, and making policies that encourage people to buy homes to live in, not just as investments. Section 9. Lessons learned, a turning point for China. The Evergrande crisis is a major moment in China's economic development. It showed the problems with the country's old growth model and forced policymakers to rethink things. How China deals with this will greatly affect its economic future and its place in the global economy. The crisis showed how important it is to address systemic risks, especially those related to debt and asset bubbles. It also showed the need for more transparency and accountability in corporate governance and financial reporting. The Chinese government has shown that it's willing to step in to prevent a system-wide crisis. But we don't know yet if these actions will fix the underlying problems in the economy. The Evergrande crisis could be a reason for much-needed changes. By moving to a more sustainable and balanced growth model, China can reduce the risks of future crises and ensure a healthy economy for the long term. The world is watching to see what China does next.